As the school year begins, hundreds of classrooms are empty and hundreds more have extra students facing a substitute teacher. The state's teacher shortage has reached a crisis level, and it's apparent nothing much can be done about it for now.
The shortage of Oklahoma public school teachers has reached levels never seen before. A recent survey by the Oklahoma State School Boards Association shows just how severe the situation has become. There are now 1,000 unfilled teaching jobs. 600 more teaching positions have been eliminated. 50% of school districts expect to increase class sizes. 506 emergency teaching certificates issued last year. So far this year, 720 emergency teaching certificates have already been granted. That means people are teaching that have no prior experience or have not yet completed their own education. The teacher shortage is on the minds of everyone in education, even at an event that honors the best teachers in the state.
It is so critical that now, as we in Oklahoma work to overcome a historic teacher shortage, that we recognize the best of the best in this noble profession.
State Superintendent of Public Instruction Joy Hoffmeister speaking at this year's Teacher of the Year event. Sean Sheehan, a teacher from Norman Public Schools, was named Teacher of the Year. He too called for a solution to the problem.
It does mean that we educators stop tiptoeing around those serious issues and start dragging people to vote for things that will support public education in the long term.
Despite huge gatherings at the state capitol to rally support for education funding and teacher pay raises, there is a perception that state lawmakers are not keeping campaign promises. Alicia Priest is president of the Oklahoma Education Association.
Everybody goes out on their campaign saying we're for education, but what it comes down to is how they vote when they're over there in the legislature making our laws, and we need to really watch that.
But the leader of the Oklahoma House of Representatives disputes statements that common education funding has been cut by millions of dollars.
We spent more in 2013-14 when you look at all sources than we ever have as a state. And so I think that's the issue for legislators. You have to look at the entire picture.
According to figures in a report from the U.S. Census Bureau on public school spending in the year 2013, funding for common education in Oklahoma breaks down this way. Total funding for Oklahoma public elementary and secondary schools was $5.8 billion. $715.9 million came from the federal government, $2.8 billion from state government, and $2.2 billion from local government. But much of that money never makes it to the classroom. It is dedicated to pay for certain costs such as transportation, nutrition, building maintenance and operational costs. Other funds must be spent under federal guidelines for various assessments and special programs. The teacher shortage is not just in Oklahoma, and for Speaker Hickman, that means there are multiple issues for the state to fix.
But I think to just say it's because we don't have enough money and we just need more money, I don't think that's going to solve the problem.
State Superintendent of Instruction Joy Hoffmeister agrees that the teacher shortage has many causes.
In 1 to 5 years, we lose 40%, and that 40% is no longer in the industry or in the state. We've got to find a way to send a signal that plugs that hole. And that's just one part of solving a teacher shortage.
But Hoffmeister says when one issue any teacher can fix on their own is how much they are paid, it becomes a main reason why teachers move away.
We are at the bottom in our country with only 2 states below us. It is absolutely a fact that we are not regionally competitive, and it would take a great commitment with a dedicated funding stream to really close that gap.
Speaker Hickman says it's time for all parties to sit down and begin a real discussion and come up with real solutions to the ongoing Oklahoma teacher shortage.
Coming together to see how we can work together, what can we agree on?
And that is something Oklahoma's education boss would like to see happen.
We want that kind of engagement, and that sounds like a good steps going forward. We tried to get that process started earlier in the legislative session, and certainly, as we know, we are going to face another year with really record shortfall.
And that takes us to the real elephant in the room, the state budget. Just how serious the deficit may be that is facing state government was illustrated in a statement from Keith Burt, director of the Oklahoma Alcoholic Beverage Laws Enforcement Commission. He told a recent commission meeting, quote, "I have it on pretty sound authority. It, the deficit, can be anywhere from $800 million to $1.2 billion. That's a number the dean of the Business College at the University of Central Oklahoma agrees with.
All parts of government should be concerned about what's to come in the coming months. It would be very difficult for any part of state government to avoid significant budget cuts in this kind of environment.
And Dean Heppner says these are cuts that could not come at a worse time for the state's economic future.
Already have hundreds of unfilled teaching positions across the state that are directly impacting the education of our children. And so at a time when the world is demanding more and more high quality education, more and more educated workforce, we're going to be forced to be making cuts.
The new Teacher of the Year called on all Oklahomans to get involved to help public schools meet the needs of students and teachers.
And I'm going to keep encouraging people to teach. I think people will look to me in this role as public relations for education. But guys, it's everyone's job in this room. It's everyone's job.
OEA President Alicia Priest called on people to volunteer at a local school to help in any way they can. But how to fix school funding issues is something that will be up to the people at the State Capitol complex.